99% of people who think that they're shadow banned, it's just
Joe, welcome. What do your parents think about this level of success?
I was in high school. I was like 16, 17 years old. And I would literally be on calls closing $3,000-$5,000 deals. I morphed into this brand, which is now at Real Joe McCarthy. I've crushed it on Instagram for 7+ years. I've DM'd people and they sign up for a $4,000 or $5,000, $10,000 program.
Wow. You know, some people say, oh, you should be posting every day. How accurate is all of that?
But for 99% of people on Instagram, I think the worst thing you can do.
Hey guys, we realize a lot of you are coming to the page and enjoying the content, but we see a lot of you still aren't subscribed. And so if you could click that subscribe button, it'll help our channel grow and give you more episodes with a lot of amazing individuals. Welcome back to another episode of Attractive Mindset. And today's guest, all we know is his name is Joe. And, you know, we want to take you in real time to dissect the life of an entrepreneur. Here we go. Joe, welcome.
Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. So tell us who you are.
Entrepreneur, brand builder, came from small farm in rural Virginia and grew my page to almost 500,000. I help other coaches, entrepreneurs build their own brands, get leads, dial in their messaging, fine tune their content creation. And yeah.
Okay. It's a lot. All right. I actually have land in Virginia.
Really?
Yeah. Farmland.
Dude. I grew up on I think I was telling Brandon, I grew up on a massive farm. It was like 20 acres of just land just in the middle of nowhere.
There's a lot of land in Virginia. Mine is in Mecklenburg County.
Interesting. I'd never even heard of that.
Yep. That is way in the sticks. No reception. John Boyd. You know who John Boyd is?
It sounds familiar.
Yeah. He has like 100 acres out there.
Yeah.
And he has like 7 cars, all named Boyd 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yeah, we went out there to go shoot a documentary for him because he basically went to the White House to like go fight because they weren't giving farmers like the right representation and stuff, and he won.
Nice.
So
dude,
it was nice. But okay, cool. So farmer turned entrepreneur, now live in South Florida.
Yep.
How did that happen?
Well, with the farm, I was selling chickens and eggs, and I started using social media to market the products. And so around, I would say age 14.
So wait, hold on. You were selling chickens?
So yeah, I mean, I was like raising chickens from like since they were little babies, and then.
Okay, so what is it? we're going into uncharted water here. So when you sell a chicken, how do you raise a chicken to sell the chicken?
So it takes, honestly, it's been a while, but I think it takes about 6 months for this breed of chicken to basically fully develop. So, obviously they hatch out of the egg. They're tiny little baby chicks. We used to raise them outside. So we'd put them like in the grass to make sure they had like a really solid life, and then, feed them every day, give them water every day as if it was just like a regular animal. And then eventually after like 6 to 8 months, they're like a full grown, like 7 pound chicken. And I mean, there's 2 things we could do. We could either butcher those chickens, put them in the freezer, obviously like you get at the grocery store, only ours is more sustainable, it's healthier. And I would just sell those like literally like frozen chickens. Or we also have another breed of chicken where instead of them being like fully developed for like meat after about 6 months, instead they start laying eggs. So we have a breed of chicken to lay eggs, and I just start selling chicken eggs as if you were just like buying them at a store.
And so is there anything wrong with eating the chicken that's meant to lay eggs?
Not really. It's just not like this solid. It's not a breed that you'd want to. It's almost like it's scrawny, right? It's not as meaty versus like this. It's called like a Cornish hen. So it's like basically developed over time to just get really plump and meaty. And those are the type of breeds that you would see in the grocery stores. Like you'll see like massive chickens. Those are the type of chickens that you can grow.
And which breed is the laying egg one?
There's like, there's dozens.
There's a lot.
There's a lot. And we used to have chickens called Americanas. They'd lay blue eggs. So I'd have like brown eggs and blue eggs that I sell to my clients. And so we had those. We had some barred rocks, which they just lay brown eggs. And then
is it a difference with the color of the eggs? It's just the color.
Just the outside shell is the different color. The egg itself is like any other egg.
It's so crazy when it comes to talking to animals, when it comes to talking about animals with breeds, because like outside of a dog, like just the other day, somebody was trying to break down cat breeds to me, and I'm like, it's just a cat, like, And so now that's a good perspective. And so, did you have more animals on the farm?
I mean, yeah, I started out with chickens. I slowly expanded into doing like turkeys. We had some ducks as well that would lay eggs, and those were like slightly bigger eggs, but they're very similar to like a chicken egg. We did pigs. Those are a complete pain in the ass because they like break out of like their cages and not
Damn.
like they break their fence and just run around the field and go crazy. So that was very short lived. We did cows a little bit at one point. I honestly prided myself on being like a poultry farmer, so like a lot of
Okay.
like the birds, like the chickens, ducks, turkeys, and things like that.
Okay. And so, would you call yourself like a food connoisseur? Like you would try things like like escargot or alligator and stuff like that?
Wait, if you guys want to build your brand, refine your messaging, fine tune your audience, and figure out how to build an online offer that actually produces results and gets you leads and makes you money, I have a 90-day program called the Bulletproof Branding Accelerator. Go to my Instagram at Real Joe McCarthy, book a call there. We'll chat one-on-one. We'll dive into your goals so you can make 15, 20, 25 grand per month profit and help you crush this year. See you there. I mean, I'm open to it. I'm not like a very picky eater. I mean, my
Mm,
wife would probably tell you different, but like,
mm,
but I would say generally, let's speaking, I'm not a very picky eater. I do like quality of food. I think is important to me because it's like you can tell what's like factory raised versus like sustainably raised. So for
mm.
instance, like a chicken, you can almost like taste it. Like I used to be able to like taste the difference between like store bought chicken that might just kind of come from any like random factory, like not
Mhm,
cage free. Like there's a lot of different labels. Like you got organic, pasture raised,
mhm.
cage free. It's like there's
Which one
all
is the best label for you to eat?
pasture raised because
Pasture
you could
raised.
have a massive factory of chickens that say cage free. And
Mhm.
yes, they're not in individual cages, but they're still cooped up in this massive, technically it's a cage. So they kind of
Mm,
skew the labels. You could also do organic where it says that's an organic chicken, but because they're giving them organic feed, like they're feeding them organic
mm.
stuff, but it's raised in like a factory. It's like they still pump them with steroids and all this other junk. And
That's a gem right there. Pasture
yeah.
raised. Wow.
If it
Okay.
says pasture raised, it was, I mean, you can't get that label unless like, the FDA like specifically says, okay, they have this amount of land per chicken essentially, or like per animal. So that's how you know that they're like sustainably raised, they're outside, they're grazing, and
Mhm.
that actually makes the eggs taste better. It makes the
Hmm,
yolks a little bit darker. That's how you know it's like a pasture raised.
that's clutch.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
Wow. Okay. And so, transitioning from farm to entrepreneurship, how does that connection come in play?
So basically, I was probably 14, 15 years old. I had a ton of chicken in the freezer. I had a ton of eggs in the fridge
Mm,
stacked up. Like you can scroll through my Instagram, like the very beginning, I had posts saying like, please buy my stuff because like it's piling up in the fridge. So I had all the product. I couldn't get clients. I couldn't find leads. But I saw another farmer in my area who was actually using Facebook and Instagram to sell those products of his own. So chickens, eggs,
You're
pork.
trying to do this at 14, 15 years
15,
old?
yeah,
How old are you
14,
now?
22.
Okay, okay, okay. Woo, because I'm like, man, hold on.
Bet.
Let
It's
me
like, wait,
backtrack a
Instagram
little
didn't
bit.
even exist.
Yeah, 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 yeah. Damn, my age is showing. Oh, look at that. All right. So 14, 15, looking for clients, trying to get that process going out. Okay. What were some of your first early snags?
So I put out a few posts. Like I was kind of just posting my daily life, posting, what I was doing that day for the farm and just
Mhm,
daily chores and stuff like that. And I just posted that. I surprisingly grew both of the pages, a few thousand followers on Facebook, a few thousand on Instagram. And a lot of those people were local in my
mhm,
area in Virginia. And they kind of took notice and they're like, hey, could I buy 3 dozen eggs? Could I buy,
mhm,
4 whole chickens? I'm like, sure. I mean, I didn't know you could sell on social media, but yeah, I'll definitely like, package it up and ship it to your house. And I think that was like the epiphany that clicked in my mind, which is like, okay, wait, I can use social media and posting content to actually make money and sell something. So
mhm.
that's when it kind of originally clicked. And then, yeah, fast forward, obviously we've transitioned a little bit.
Okay. And so, to also reset the meter, let's say I'm a 0% skeptic, right?
Mhm.
And so I don't believe that online gurus are really online gurus, especially if you didn't go to quote unquote school for it.
Mhm.
And so, how do you guide somebody like me through this process of, in the day and age of bots? and fake pages, and you can buy likes very cheap and very quickly, and even comments that look really real. You're in a world of AI where you can literally just go on ChatGPT and just, hey, I'll type this on here, and boom, now you're doing all of this. What is some closure to be able to, one, point those things out, to know like, okay, I'm going to go deal with somebody that isn't probably that authentic, or and two, what are some real methods to gain real engagement to make sales?
Yeah, I mean, I think it comes down to the messaging in your content. Like if your messaging isn't on point, then you're probably not going to grow. And that's where a lot of people revert back to like buying bots and buying, fake shit. And it's like, because they want to feel like they have something of value, when in the reality it's like you're just buying that because your stuff isn't hitting. So I just think it's very important that you dial in your messaging, and like exactly how to talk to your ideal client in a way that's actually going to get you results. So yeah, I would say like the foundation is like the thing that a lot of people miss. They don't actually go through and like figure out their target market, how to talk to them, how to position their content in a way that actually hits and actually gets shared and viewed by hundreds of thousands of people.
Okay, I can definitely see that. And so, you going into this journey and then having a few people hit you up to say, okay, hey, I want to buy this. At what point did it become real for you to say, I want to make this a profession, kind of thing?
So the funny thing is with the sustainable farming stuff, I was reading a lot of books on this guy named Joel Salatin. He's basically the pioneer of sustainable farming. And so I was reading a ton of his books. I was looking at interviews, and I randomly saw an interview with him talking about this guy, Tai Lopez. And so everybody in the digital marketing space obviously knows that Tai Lopez is like the godfather of this online SMMA type stuff. And the funny thing is Tai Lopez was Joel Salatin's first like apprentice on the farm.
Wow.
And Tai talks about Joel Salatin all the time. Joel actually he used to live 2 hours away from the farm in Virginia that I grew up on. So I've been to his farm personally. I've met Joel Salatin. And when Tai was 19, he was basically like mentored by Joel Salatin. So that's when I kind of got introduced to like this online world. I looked up Tai Lopez. I was like, who the heck is this guy? So I was like going through his content. He had like Lamborghinis and nice mansions and houses and freedom and time freedom, location freedom. So I was like, wait, that's pretty dope. And so I saw he was selling like a program, and he was a big proponent on reading. So he was saying like read books, learn, gain knowledge. So I just started reading a ton of books on like Grant Cardone, Napoleon Hill, Robert Kiyosaki, and I just shared what I was learning from those books. So that's when I kind of morphed into this brand, which is now at Real Joe McCarthy, which is my main page. And I was just posting what I was learning, posting quotes and things like that. And then that slowly morphed into, which we can get into, more of like me actually promoting and selling an offer on social media, which is more like a online program type thing.
Got it. Okay. And so, are you an advocate for just building one platform at first, or should you be on every platform? Like, how do you break that down?
So yeah, I'm a big proponent on focus on one platform first until you're crushing it there, and then you can go to other platforms. So I'm biased because Instagram, I've crushed it on Instagram for 7+ years, and I just haven't really seen a ton of success yet with TikTok and X and all these other platforms. So I would say choose a platform first. Ideally, I'd probably say Instagram because I feel like that's the melting pot.
Do you think that time plays a role in that?
Time? Not really, honestly. I mean, I think like TikTok, I think is easier to grow quicker, but it's not always your ideal audience. Versus with Instagram, it might take a little bit more time to grow an audience. But if you can do that properly, your fans are going to be on there. People that are actually going to buy your stuff are going to be on there. So you can make the most money and help the most people on a deeper level, I would say, through Instagram. And then what I would say is you do want to like repurpose your content. So like you'll see I do have social media like across the board. Like I'm repurposing on Facebook and on TikTok, LinkedIn, YouTube, but I don't really put all my focus there. My whole focus is on Instagram because that's where people are going to find me first. And then if they happen to want to see long form content, they can check out YouTube. If they want to see, more like behind the scene type stuff, they can go to TikTok and stuff like that.
Okay. No, that's solid. And so with all of these things lined up, what would you say is like a base strategy? Because you said message, but there's a bunch of different ways to deliver a message. And so what would you say has been the most effective for you, and what's actually the most popular?
Mm. As far as messaging goes, I think there's like a list of questions that I would ask if you are just getting started building a brand or just getting started trying to create an offer.
Mhm,
So you want to ask again, like, who's your ideal client?
mhm.
What are their pain points? What do they need help with? Like, what's the hell that they're going through, and like how can you get them out of that into this heaven, so to speak?
Mhm.
Because that's the main thing that's going to help like actually drive your audience to engage with your content and share it.
So let's do it in real time.
Yeah, let's do
Okay.
it.
So ask me.
Okay.
I'm coming to you for social media help. I want to grow my page.
Yeah. So, what space are you in currently?
I am in the mindset space of basically helping people build systems for their business.
And when you say mindset, expand on that.
Mindset, as in, we help people create a structure. And so, steps leading to where they need to go to hit six figures, whatever.
And who's like your ideal client typically?
Ideal client would be somebody lost, usually college dropouts
Hmm.
or people after college that haven't found work within their job field,
And
and they're
so,
looking to do something on their own.
what is their biggest struggle? Like, what do they need help with specifically?
They don't know what to do, and they have good ideas, they have good intentions. They usually try to join any random field, which could be social media marketing or
Hmm.
coaching or whatever, but they haven't translated the steps and how to do so because they went to college for a more refined
Yeah.
route, but they're like, it's not really for me.
Yeah, that makes sense. And so, what is your ideal outcome? So, let's say you sign somebody up. It's a program. Obviously, you've defined your ideal audience,
Mhm.
so to speak. So, what is the outcome that you're pitching them? Like, what's that heaven that you're giving them?
Clarity. And so gain clarity to get to where you're trying to go. Where everybody's trying to go could be different. So I don't guarantee like, hey, you're gonna make like this crazy money amount,
Yeah.
but I do guarantee that you understand the steps to get to where you are. We've done multiple six figures in multiple different businesses. So I tell people at the very least, we'll give you the steps to make six figures.
Hmm.
Now you doing the steps is completely different.
Hmm. Hmm. Exactly. And then as far as the amount of people, like, I mean, I'm assuming there's a good amount of people out there that can purchase your services. Like,
Mhm,
the audience is broad, right?
mhm.
So, what is your lead gen strategy currently?
Lead gen strategy, I don't have one, you know. I'm actually anti social media.
Mm.
And so that's where the I guess the the iffiness comes in because I'm in old school business, and so
Hmm.
I'd rather like a brick and mortar kind of setup. SEO does bigger for me than any social media that I have. So,
Hmm.
the companies will appear page one, rank one, and do things like that. And I'll get leads before Google,
Yeah,
before I do on social media.
that's shocking because if you think about it, where does your ideal client, those younger people, often go to?
Social media,
Yeah. So I think if a lot of people tell themselves this story too, they think that, okay, I haven't seen success or I haven't seen a lot of results on Instagram or on
Mhm,
Facebook, so it must not work,
mhm,
right? It's like I'm old school. I get a lot of business through Google SEO, so I'm going to stick to what's working. Versus, let's say you do start tapping into social media a little bit
mhm.
and you do start building a presence. You're refining your content a little bit. Maybe you're spending a little bit on marketing and advertising to get out to your ideal audience and meet them where they're at. I think you'd find that like you'd be surprised like how many people are just kind of lurking on Instagram and maybe they do come across your brand and you have a couple posts up there that are like really speaking to the heart of what they're struggling with and what they need
Mhm.
help with. I think those are some of like the stories people tell themselves is, oh, DM outreach doesn't work because I tried it and I just didn't see results, which that's not the case. Why would it work for me? How can I generate hundreds of thousands of dollars from it
Mhm.
and you can't? It's not the DM itself. It's just you don't have the right systems and processes in place to see the results.
And so when you say DM outreach, go deeper on that a little.
So it's very simple, right? Like just organically reaching out to people. So you can DM about 50, 60 people every single day organically just through your Instagram page. So let's say, for instance, you target 20 to 25-year-old male, female college dropouts or people that just graduated college in the US, right? And you have an ideal audience. So now you know, okay, this is who I'm targeting. Now we need to figure out, okay, where do these people kind of hang out? So you might go to like, Barstool Sports or like those other Instagram pages that a lot of college kids might follow, engage with, leave comments on, and you just go to 50 of those or go to pages and just scroll through, DM 50 of those ideal clients of yours. Just leave a message, say like, hey, John, just saw that you were, following Barstool Sports, love what you're doing with X, Y, and Z. Just wanted to ask, what are you planning on doing going into 2025 or going into this real world, so to speak. And then you might get this conversation, you might start conversating, and it's like you might realize like, okay, wait, he's kind of lost. And then that's where you can pivot into saying something like, hey, just want to let you know, like, I help people like yourself gain clarity on X, Y, and Z. I would love to set up a quick 20-minute chat just to see like what your goals are. Maybe if there's potential for us to, work together, there's a lot of opportunity here. I'd love to just share some free value. I always try to lead my outreach with value and just making sure that they get the better end of the stick, really, because I'm just giving hundreds of dollars worth or thousands of dollars worth of value on this call. And then if it happens to be the right fit, that's when you can sign them up. But I think a lot of people totally miss that. They just assume that if they build a page, post a little bit of content, grow a brand, naturally there's people are going to come and like just follow them, DM them, hop on the programs. And that's not the case most of the time. You got to be proactive about it. So I am a big proponent of taking action, being proactive, using the tools, using Instagram to the best of its ability by actually going out and reaching out to those people, meeting them where they're at. So that way you're kind of sparking that conversation and planting those seeds.
With you saying that, I think I blocked you. I think I blocked you because I tried to look for your page. I've gotten a lot of blocks. I tried to look for your page on my page before this, and it wasn't popping up, and I kind of just sideswiped it. I was like, whatever. But as you say that, like DM outreach, like, I don't know, maybe I'm toxic. Yeah. Once I see the DM outreach, they don't even have to say anything crazy. It'll just be like, hey, I see you do block.
Yeah.
And
that's just the name of the game. I've gotten blocked by a lot of random people here and there, but I've also built massive connections. Like I've DM'd people and they sign up for a $4,000 or $5,000, $10,000 program. I've DM'd people and hopped on podcasts like this. I actually reached out to Brendan probably 5 years ago, and we hopped on a podcast originally and just obviously did another one. But like you can plant these seeds and like make these introductions and network, and it can be powerful. Like yes, you're gonna get a little amount of people like maybe blocking you or saying like quit scamming, blah blah blah. But I mean that's just the name
part of the nose.
Way more good than bad.
Wow, I never thought about it in that way, and I thank you for that because. Yeah. You've set the bar for what a digital no is.
Yeah.
Because I'm used to, the older school, you can go door knock, and I'll tell people, for those who already know my story, like I did network marketing, multiple times. And so I've had to deal with the no's, but up front, like it's over the phone or in person or whatever. But getting blocked on social media or sending out a DM on social media, not getting a response or getting an actual no or quit scamming or whatever is just a digital no.
Mm-hmm.
And I never really pieced it together that way.
Yeah.
It's interesting.
And I think there's way more good than there is bad. I honestly don't even get people blocking me much. Like here and there maybe, but if you think about it, I've sent probably 250,000 DMs over the past like 7 years across tons of different accounts, and I really have not seen any negative. Like I use that as my number one lead gen source. I have a team reaching out, and we've generated hundreds of thousands of dollars.
And they reach out from your direct page,
couple other pages, brand pages, stuff like that.
And so it's not one of those things where it's like a fake page hits you up and it's
those
like
are called mass DMs. So that's a funny thing that you mentioned that. So my partner Dre, he actually uses those mass DMs to help people gain like a following. So it's super interesting because you can use those mass DMs and they come from like bot pages, but it basically just has your page link and then a message and says like, hey, go check out X, Y, and Z if you're interested in crypto or real estate or whatever, and then they can follow. So it is cool because it does get you like a real following, and they're somewhat interested.
Really, people follow from that?
Yeah, I mean, it's called a mass DM for a reason. So you got to send out 100,000 plus messages, and you might get like, let's say 7,000 to 8,000 followers from that.
That's still crazy though. Like a fake page sending out a mass DM to say, hey, go follow this person. Is it the same for comments? Because I
Mhm.
see them in the comment section too. Like,
Mhm.
wow, I just
Those ones
saved
do not work.
whatever. Okay.
Yeah, I don't think the comment ones work very well, but the
Mm,
DM one's the one that goes to your request box. It
mm,
surprisingly does work. It's
mm.
interesting.
And so that's the other part of Instagram. They have this request box now.
Mhm.
With how it is, you can only send one message
Yeah.
to people, and you can't send like another one. Like, do you guys have a workaround around that? Like, what if they never see it? Like, they don't even get a chance to just be like yes or no or whatever.
Yeah, those are good questions. This is gonna be real sauce. So what I do for my DM process is go to the page. I will message them first. I'll give them a follow so they actually see that in their notifications.
Mm,
I'll like one of their posts and I'll scroll down to like just a super random post that captures their attention. Go to like a post from 2022, like the post, leave a genuine comment. Because people are not necessarily going to see the DM because, yeah, it's in your request or even hidden request at this point. So they might not see that, but everybody goes to their little heart, emoji, and they'll click that, see what
mm,
notifications they've gotten, the likes and the comments. And you can even leave a comment and say something like, "Hey, John, just left you a message. Looking forward to connecting." So
mm,
they see that and they're like, "Oh, this guy must have DM'd me." So then that will increase your response rate like crazy.
mm.
And to work around that, like one message type thing, you can only send one text message, right? But you can go to the stories. Let's say they post a story on
And
a
comment
day,
on that.
swipe up on that, say like you can even just do genuine. I'm a big proponent on like just sharing genuine engagement. Like you don't want to always just be super salesy. So
Yeah.
even just swiping up and say like, "Hey, that's a lovely family," or "Hey, I love you," or "I love that you're like doing X, Y, and Z."
But
"Hey,
it's
I
like, I
love
love
that
you is
car."
crazy.
I love you.
Okay.
Stuff like that. And I think that can kind of get the workaround because then it bumps up the message in the inbox. So that's my workaround. I haven't
Okay.
honestly seen like a huge decrease in conversions just because I think when people see that initial like and comment that I
Mm.
leave on their posts, they almost always check the DMs.
Got it. No, that's actually real gems. And so, are you familiar with the Gary Vee method?
Just
The
give
the
was it?
dollar 80.
Yeah.
He has a website for it. The
Yeah.
$1.80. Do you use that?
No. Well, I honestly, tell me more about it. I know he has like the jab, 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 right hook where it's like you just give a ton of value and then ask.
Yeah, he made
What's
a
the dollar
website,
80?
and so the $1.80 method is basically, I forget how he did the math for it, but it's basically leaving your 2 cents,
Mm-hmm.
and you leave your 2 cents 90 times, and so 2 cents times 90, $1.80,
Mm-hmm.
and so basically leaving your 2 cents with a genuine comment on a post.
Yep.
And the way he has the website formatted is you can choose up to, I believe, 9 hashtags, and you have to leave 10 comments a day for each hashtag,
Mm-hmm.
and it automatically does it and refreshes the most popular quote unquote stuff of that hashtag. And you can create a genuine comment, and it'll even save your comment so you can
Yeah.
copy and paste it after. But he's like, don't make it generic, don't make it
Yeah.
whatever.
Yeah.
Leave an actual genuine comment and do that 10 times under 9 different hashtag kind of post, whatever,
Huh.
which equals 90 times. And you do that consistently for like the next 20 to 30 days. And it's harder than it looks,
Yeah. I know.
because
Consistency.
leaving 90 comments didn't seem that daunting, especially when you're trying to make them genuine, not just like haha or hey or whatever, or
Yeah.
emojis and stuff like that, which most people do. Leaving an actual
Yeah.
because he said it
Genuine.
genuine. Yeah, he said it can either be genuine in a controversial way, or it could be genuine in a, oh, I like this response kind of way.
Yeah.
And so when you have to think about it, doing that 90 times per day for the next 30 days is an
That's a lot of
actual
effort.
challenge.
Yeah.
But the results are like huge. I think the most I ever got up to was like 6 days doing the actual 90 comments a day, and then I lost the streak, and I would do maybe like 30 or 40 every week or whatever for a
Yeah.
little while, and it grew the following. That's when I had the ROV page, and so that page randomly now till today has like 6,000 followers, and it got a lot of engagement at the time. But I mean, I don't even use that social media anymore. But when I look at like the newer pages, I'm like, okay, cool. I could do something like that, but that takes a lot of time.
Yeah.
And so how do you condense time outside of just having a team? If I'm a beginner social media person, how do you really set up an effective strategy to be like, hey, I want to, I have a great product, because
Mhm.
I feel like that's what a lot of people deal with too, because it's a lot of shallowness. And
Yeah.
so if they don't see you having 10,000 followers or 100,000 followers or whatever, they think what you're offering them isn't as good or it's not even real.
Yeah. Well, there's two ways that you can condense time. Number one is you can delegate, so you can hire out people to do that for you. And these days, you can hire people on Fiverr, Upwork. Like I personally use Upwork.com, and
Mm.
you can hire out people to do your whole DM system for you. That's what I do. You can hire people out to. I have a guy that responds to my comments, responds to my DMs, sends the DMs. I mean, you could easily get an assistant to send all those comments every single day for probably $200 or $300 a month. Like, yes, it's going to cost a little bit of money, but if you're not willing to invest a few $100s into your brand, you're not going to reach the level that you want. So that's number one. Number two is the biggest thing for me personally is investing into people who've already done it, coaches, people that can give you the skills and knowledge and the experience, and they basically package it up and condense it and basically collapse time for you and give you the specific blueprint, so that way you don't have to spin your wheels and do X, Y, and Z to try to like figure it out yourself. So for me, I've invested over $100,000 into
Whew.
mentors, coaches, like courses, into my brand, and that's the reason why I'm at where I am at 22, is because I've condensed time and I've invested into coaches who know exactly what they're doing in a specific field, and I just basically copy and paste what they're doing,
Mhm.
and I see the results versus trying to figure it all out myself.
No, that makes sense. And what was the first amount you spent on a coach?
I think it was like $800.
Mm,
It's got this guy named Billy, and
mhm,
he's very intentional with like mindset coaching. So I
mhm,
think I was really blessed where it worked out, where I invested into specific coaching, in a very methodical way, where it's like I addressed the foundation first, the mindset, consistency, work ethic, because those are like baseline foundational
I
things.
like Joe.
Yeah, we need to like really solidify some of those like core values,
Mhm,
right? Before we go into like, hey, this is how you post content. These are some hooks to use. Because if you just go right into the tactical information,
mhm.
I mean, you're gonna quit, you're gonna get burnt out, you're not gonna have a why for like why you're actually doing this. So yeah, I invested into this guy named Billy, and he helped me for probably over a year, just like really solidify like, okay, what does Joe actually stand for? Like, what are his
Mhm.
core values? How do we build this consistency? What is that why? For like posting content and for staying consistent. I think that it really worked out for me for sure.
No, that's definitely dope. And have you ever been approached with a client that you can get their social media to the next level, but they don't have a good product or service?
I mean, I've had a lot of clients that maybe have like average services, or like it's in like the working mode, like they haven't actually launched it. So
Mhm,
there's still a lot of deep work to do. So, like with my program, the first couple weeks, I mean, I don't even go into content or
mhm.
systems or like, all these random things that people are like, the sexy stuff, right? It's like, oh,
Yeah.
how do I get leads? How do I make money?
Mm.
How do I get views and followers? It's like, we'll cover that stuff down the line. Trust me, we'll get to that. And it'll be some deep stuff that we get into with like tactical information,
Mhm,
but the first few weeks, like I really need you guys to like nail down the baseline things, like finding your target market, how to speak to them in a way that produces solid results and actually gets people to want to book a call and chat with you one on one and hand you four or five, $6,000, because you need to have crystal clear messaging.
mhm.
And then we address a lot of like the foundational things like self-worth, figuring out what should you charge, not based on your scarcity mindset, or like, being kind of insecure about like your value.
Mhm.
Like, what is this value that you're giving, and how can we actually show people that it's worth 2 to 3x what you're currently charging? Because I think a lot of people also deal a lot of issues with like self-worth, camera confidence. So that's the kind of stuff that we address in like the first portion of that program, and then we'll
Mhm.
move into like the tactical stuff.
Got it. Okay. And so, there's always a revolving number, but some people say, oh, you should be posting every day. You should be posting every other day. You got to, post at specific times a day. Like, how accurate is all of that?
I think it's a case by case basis. Like, you look at Gary Vee, he posts, I don't know, 4 or 5 times every single day, if
Hmm.
not more. Same with Alex Ramosi, same with like Andy Elliott. So if you're like at this level where you have a massive audience and you already have an established brand, you have a fan base, I think go for it, post multiple times per day. But for 99% of people on Instagram, especially the ones that are just trying to get their boots off the ground and get something growing, I think the worst thing you can do is post multiple times per day. Even every day is a lot. Like I would say post 3 to 5 times per week. I'm currently posting 3 times per week. So I'm more on the line of like, okay, post a little bit less content,
Mm.
but make it really valuable. And so I'm big into quality, not in the sense of like you need to have fancy cameras and fancy editing, because a lot of people are actually drawn more towards like that real raw type of footage.
Yeah.
So I would say like you really want to just hone in on the quality of the message, make sure
Mm.
it creates like almost a shift in your audience's mindset, because that's the kind of stuff that is going to get them to like share on their story or share to a friend or family or to like or comment on the post. And that's the kind of stuff that Instagram sees and pushes it out to more people, puts it on the explore page. So I'm a big proponent in don't post a ton of content unless you have a really solid audience already
Mm.
who's going to engage with it. And if you're very crystal clear on the messaging and the value, because you could post 5 times a week, but if it's average content, it's not going to reach anybody. It's not going to get you any results. So you're better off posting 3 times, but making it like very top notch value, if that makes sense.
Got it. Okay. No, that definitely makes sense. And do you feel like lifestyle marketing has changed the game for a lot of online coaches or gurus where they're almost people are buying 80% of seeing the fancy car or the
Yeah.
vacation or the dream house and all that
Six
kind of
pack
stuff.
abs.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I mean, I think honestly, I'm not gonna lie, that was the main thing that drew me into Ty Lopez. It's like he had results to show for it. Even if I mean people say like his house was leased or like he like rents
Mhm.
his cars or whatever. And even if he did, it's like that still costs like 50 grand a month to
Yeah.
lease and rent. So you must be doing something right to be able to afford all those luxuries, right? So I think it captures the attention. I think it also depends on like who's your target market. It's like if it's slightly older people, it's like they they kind of bypass that. They don't really
Yeah.
buy like the okay, you got this Lamborghini, so I'm just automatically gonna trust you. I think they're more so looking for results. Like, can this guy produce leads? Can he book me calls? Can he make me money?
Mhm.
Right. So I think that's where instead of you just promoting like this lifestyle, which I think you should definitely do to a certain extent, I think it's even more important to have like results to show for it, testimonials, before and afters,
Mhm.
because that's the kind of stuff that's going to attract more of like that more refined client market.
Got it. And now I want to get into a little bit of, you know, forces that work against people that aren't always as clear. And there's two of them that come to mind. I don't know how big one of them is with Instagram, but that one would be, ads.
Hmm.
Should they run ads on Instagram, like from Instagram?
That's a good question. So for when it comes to ads, I think that you need to have the organic marketing dialed in first. You need to have a credible first impression, good social presence, because let's think about it. If you have like an average looking page and you start running ads to generate, leads for your product, if they go to your page, and again, your page is your business card, it's your resume. So if they go to your page and they see that it's very low quality, you don't have great content, not great value,
Mhm.
no results up there, your page is not optimized, you're just flushing money down the toilet.
Mhm.
So I'm a big proponent in like making sure that you have all the steps in place before you run ads. So what I would say is step one, figure out, the target market, figure out the content, start posting consistently, maybe start investing into building your brand, getting a followership and just reaching more people and having a solid first impression. Step two would be start doing something like the DM outreach, like I mentioned, because it's very low hanging fruit. It's technically free. Like for
Right.
ads, you put in $500, you kind of have to like hope and pray that it produces some results versus with DM outreach. I mean, if you have the right script, systems, processes in place, which I teach personally, it's pretty much guaranteed like you can see success from that and you're not
Mhm.
flushing money down the toilet. So it's also organic where you don't have to depend on it necessarily like you do with ads. So
Mhm.
one issue I see with a lot of clients is what they'll do is they'll start running ads super early. They have no other lead gen systems. They don't do organic outbound marketing. They don't do any like just posting content, generating clients that way. They solely focus on ads and spending money on that to produce income. And they put all their eggs in this one basket. And then let's say, I mean, it's happened to some of my friends and some of my colleagues where they start spending a lot of money on ads and it's their number one lead gen source. And then Instagram shuts down their ads manager account, or like something happens with the system, like your ads don't produce anymore. Now all of a sudden you're out of leads, you're out of this lead gen system. So that's why I think if you can dial in the organic marketing first, really build a powerful brand online and kind of create like a fan base for yourself, and start doing some organic marketing. Then I would say once you're kind of crushing that, similar to like what I was doing, I recently got into ads. Like I spent 7 years just doing what I just said.
Wow.
And then I recently got into ads 4 months ago. Right. So,
Wow.
and that's, again, I'm obviously teaching what's personally worked for me. Sometimes it works different for other people. But I wouldn't even start running ads or think about putting money towards ads until you've built these foundations that I just mentioned.
I like the authenticity in that answer, because a lot of people would just go to the method that's the most common now. And just, oh yeah, you got to go through this, and they'll start you off from where they're at now, but not necessarily from what got them there.
Yeah.
And that also attributes to like the scam of it, because it's like, oh my gosh, like, bro, you're selling me something at a place where it took you X amount of money to get here, and then you're trying to give me this final product, but you haven't even given me the
And there's certain steps that they've taken
100%.
to get there.
And so the other part of the ads that I wanted to mention is, from YouTube, when you spend money on ads on YouTube, the moment you stop spending money on ads, they kill your engagement. And so I was wondering if that's the same case for like an Instagram, because like, why would you're paying to push your content out there, and then you stop paying to push your content out there. Why would they push that same content for free?
Yeah, I mean, Instagram is designed for you to spend money, and that's why the reach is so hard these days to just get organically, is because number one, there's so many people on the platform that it's such a competitive field now, but there's influencers and brands and entrepreneurs and coaches like me who are spending thousands of dollars per month on their marketing, on their branding, on reaching people and getting clients and getting a followership, that it almost makes it impossible to grow if you're not spending money. But I don't even think you have to spend directly on the platform, even though that's what Instagram is like designed to want you to do. Like they're going to purposely not get you a lot of reach because they want you to spend $80 on some boosts, right? To get your post out to a little bit more people. But I've even crunched some numbers, and I've seen that like you could spend hundreds of thousands of dollars on ads and boosts, and it's going to be hard to grow if like you don't have those foundations and messaging in place, because it doesn't convert as well. Like that's the other thing, is if you can get all these foundations in place first and then run ads, you're also going to get a way better conversion. You could spend $800 on ads, where you have an average page and like maybe you get like 1 or 2 clients, versus if you have everything established. Like if you go to my brand at Real Joe McCarthy, if you have that page and you start running ads, obviously you're going to get a much different result, way higher conversions, and you make more money.
Okay. And then how do you combat certain things like shadow bans? Because that's a real thing too, where you don't know when it's going to happen. You don't know if it's fully even really happened. Like you don't know how to navigate that water, but you're like, man, I know my post looks good. My coach is telling me my post looks good. This is all happening, but I have 2 views.
Here's the thing. 99% of people who think that they're shadow banned, it's just because they have crappy content.
Wow.
That's the truth. It's like if your content is good, it's going to hit. If your content is good, Instagram's going to push it to more people. There are certain circumstances where maybe you're super controversial, you're speaking on the election and blah, blah, blah. Especially during like the COVID time, a lot of people were getting, shadow banned for, speaking their views, which sucks, but, is what it is. But these days, especially if you're like a little fish in a big pond on Instagram, like unless you're like Alex Jones or whatever, you're not really getting shadow banned. Like I don't even think it's honestly a real thing unless you're at that level of like just pure controversy. Or if you just do something wrong on Instagram, like you can, almost act as if you're a bot by DMing too many people or liking.
Got it.
Like, I think one downside with that comment strategy is you got to be careful with action blocks, because you could leave a ton of comments and then Instagram sees that you're leaving all these comments and they might say like, hey, we see this as bot behavior, you're action blocked, so you can't leave comments anymore. So you have to be careful with that. But yeah, I hate when people say like, oh, I think I'm shadow banned, I'm not reaching anybody. I'm like, no, your content's just, it's not good.
Damn. Okay. And so for a lot of these other things that get created over time, how important are hashtags? How important is your caption? How important is the time that you post during the day? How important are all of those little things that add to the algorithm of Instagram pushing your stuff out?
If your content sucks, it doesn't matter what hashtags you use, doesn't matter what time a day you post. Like, that's why I'm very big into the messaging, the content, the quality, the value, because that's the stuff that's going to be pushed out to more people, regardless of if you post at 3 a.m. or 3 p.m. Like, there's massive entrepreneurs out there who have literally said like, hey, I post at just random times during the day. I posted one at midnight and it blew up, right? And I posted at 3 p.m., the ideal time that people say, nothing happened. It's like there's really so many little nuances that like just don't matter. Like, hashtags, ultimately they don't really matter too much. Like, I think definitely put in like a few hashtags tailored towards your niche. Like, for me, I'll put hashtag personal branding, hashtag FYP for you page, hashtag I'll do my own hashtag real Joe McCarthy, just in case someday I get super famous and people want to look it up. But I'll just leave 5 hashtags. I don't really think about it too much. Like, I think when people try to do like these trending audios and these dances and the hashtags, it's like, that is not the kind of stuff that's going to blow up your content. What's going to blow up your content is you talking to your audience, like hitting the heart of like what they are struggling with, hitting the heart of like what they need to hear at that time, right? Or what's like shareable content. Like, maybe there's a very relatable topic that people are dealing with, or maybe your mom or cousin or friend is like dealing with X, Y, and Z, and you're able to help that person. You give like a very raw, real piece of content, like really pure value content that creates a shift. They share it to them, it gets shared across Instagram. And when Instagram sees shares, I've actually noticed, and I think the CEO of Instagram has mentioned, like, shares is extremely important now. Like, you can have hashtags and likes and that kind of stuff, but if you can get a good amount of shares on your content, that's the kind of stuff that's gonna almost signal to Instagram like, hey, people are vibing with this content. Let's push it and put it like on the explore page. Wait, if you guys want to build your brand, refine your messaging, fine-tune your audience, and figure out how to build an online offer that actually produces results and gets you leads and makes you money, I have a 90-day program called the Bulletproof Branding Accelerator. Go to my Instagram at RealJoeMcCarthy, book a call there. We'll chat one-on-one. We'll dive into your goals so you can make 15, 20, 25 grand per month profit and help you crush this year. See you there.
Got it. Okay. No, that's dope. And so, taking it back a little bit, once you have like not once, and so you have this audience, you have this brand now, you started off with farm roots. What do your parents think about this level of success that you're in now versus how, they obviously started things off?
Yeah. Well, so the funny thing is at the time when I was looking at Ty Lopez's stuff, I basically told my dad, like, I'm going to invest, $800, whatever it was, into this SMMA program. And he basically said, like, don't do that. Forget about that. It's a scam. And I didn't believe him because I just saw the results and I was like, I kind of just used my common sense and I invested into it anyways. And I feel like that was a big thing that kind of catapulted my interest in the social media world. But I would say, like, for what they thought about like skipping college, that was a big thing because like I went to this like school that almost like prepped you to go to college, and all of my classmates went to college. Like, it was a big thing if they got into Yale or whatever, all these different colleges. And I think they might have felt pressured by other parents. I think a lot of times with going to college, parents don't even necessarily want your kid or want their kid to go to college because they think it's the best thing to do. Because I think at this point people know, like, okay, this shit is expensive. I mean, you can be successful without a degree. I mean, it's very well known now, I think. So I think the only reason they really say, okay, son, you got to go to college is because they want that bumper sticker on their car saying, hey,
My
kid
kid
went
did this.
to
Yeah.
X, Y, and Z.
Yeah.
So it's honestly their insecurity. And I told him that. And I think my dad, he's very entrepreneurial. He runs like a couple successful businesses as well. And he was very supportive of me basically just going out into the real world, skipping college. I think another thing is if you are going to skip college or drop out of college, if you're already in college, you need to make sure that you have some kind of success or track record. Like if you're lazy, if you just play video games all day, it's like, why should your parents trust you to drop out or skip?
True.
Versus with me, I mean, I was in high school, I was like 16, 17 years old. Phones weren't allowed, but I would go into like the bathroom during lunch and I would literally be on calls closing deals, like $5,000 deals in the bathroom, just grinding in like 9th or 10th grade.
Damn.
So I think my parents knew like I was already making more than the teachers at the times, and they knew that. And I think they understood like, okay, he's going to crush it with or without college. So we trust him. So I think that's a big thing. If you're going to drop out or if you're going to skip college, you need to have some kind of results. You need to show them why you don't need this degree, why you don't need to go to college. But yeah, they were very supportive, and obviously now they're like super proud. They recently came down to the condo in Miami just to check it out because they're still in Virginia, obviously. And they were like,
it's not as cold.
Yeah, they're like, this is nice.
Yeah, no, that's dope. I like that. You know, and the caveat of you not going to college, do you feel like that affected how you interact with people in a different type of way? Because you see a lot of these people with college stories or frats and, I graduated with these guys, or, they have reunions and stuff down the line or anything like that. But, making a certain amount of money at a certain age, and you're only 22, that automatically alone changes your friend group. That changes, how people view you, especially even family, whether people ask for things, whether people come around for a certain reason or not. Like, how has that affected you?
Well, I think the funny thing is parent. I mean, I think at this point, the only thing that they have on the college thing, and I think is super weak, is that they get the college experience. They get to be with friends and live a little bit and experience X, Y, and Z, and they get to fit in, right? It's like they're big on like, I want my kid to like fit in.
Yeah.
But like with me, it's like I don't want to fit in with the average person going to college. Like the last thing I want to do is like be like these people who are just coasting throughout their life. They don't take it seriously. They don't have any goals, no aspirations. And that's why I moved to Miami, because like you guys, like we're all in this hub where it's like we're motivated, we have goals, we have high standards for ourselves and for our companies. And I think that just pushes me to do bigger and better things. But, when I was in Virginia or even just like in high school, it's like all it was is just like this low vibration, low frequency type stuff. And I'm just not a fan of that at all.
Got it. Okay. No, that's definitely a lot. You gave us a lot on this interview in general. As like a closing note for somebody who is transitioning, since you did it at that age, you transitioned from high school to entrepreneur, for the average individual, because your story is definitely not common, what advice would you give when they're battling going to college versus, following the entrepreneurship? That's not the standard, like, oh, you got to be focused or anything.
Yeah.
Like, what should they really be looking for?
I think they just need to get clear on what do they want, why do they want it, who do they want to help, why do they want to help those people. Another thing I would say is just like, don't put so much pressure on caring what everybody thinks. Like, stop caring what your, friends think. Stop caring what your parents think. Like, I think that was actually a funny thing with, people in my high school, is that like a lot of those people said they were going to go to college, and then fast forward a year, once they graduate, turns out they dropped out or they just never went. But they didn't say that. Like, I was pretty vocal in high school saying like, hey, I'm not going to go to college, and I got a lot of shit for that. And I think they were kind of hiding because they didn't want to be excluded. They didn't want to like see what these people were going to think about them. They cared too much about these people's opinions. So I think one thing that actually hindered me from getting started even sooner with posting content on my page, especially with putting myself in front of camera, is I just cared too much about what other people thought. I cared about what they were going to say and all that. So if I had to kind of go back and give, my younger self some advice, or even just someone who might be kind of transitioning into this, is like, no matter what you do, like people are going to judge you, whether you're super successful or, you're poor. People are going to judge you. They're going to say you're
100%.
greedy. If you're poor, they're going to say you're lazy. Same with fitness. If you're really jacked up, they're going to say you're on like steroids. If you're fat,
Yeah.
obviously they're going to say something like that. So you just
Yeah.
need to be like crystal clear on like what you want to do, and just block out all of the opinions of other people, because that's the kind of stuff that's just going to stop you from really pursuing and hitting like that 2.0 version of yourself.
No, I love that response. And so, Joe, this is entirely up to you. Nobody is holding Joe hostage here. But on Attractive Mindset, we have a traditional culture of, when we have all types of coaches come in, and, Brendan's done it, P's done it, I've done it, government contracting people, whatever. But the whole purpose behind Attractive Mindset is to give back to the community, give back to people who actually want it. And so, are you willing to, for one individual, give them coaching on the house?
I'll do it
to get them started on their journey to whatever they want to do.
If you can show that you watched this whole interview and prove it, I will give anybody some free coaching.
And so, as y'all already know, during this episode, we won't tell you where, obviously. It's going to be somewhere, but there'll be a code that pops up on the screen, and it's random and it's quick. So they have to be paying attention to it, and it'll pop up on the screen. You send us a DM, or you send Joe a DM, saying, what's your initials? JM?
Yeah.
So say attract JM, and we'll know that you found the code. Post the code there, and Joe's team will take care of you.
We'll get you some success.
And that's how we give back, because we understand time is valuable. So if you're watching an hour-long episode, you could be doing anything else, and we drop on Wednesdays. And so if you're watching this episode, make sure you share it with a friend as well. But, proceed to learn from these things, because we have these conversations to bring clarity to a lot of things, to give back in a free kind of way, because it's just going on YouTube. And so you're getting a lot of gems where an hour consultation with myself or Joe might actually cost a lot, versus you're on YouTube and you're getting the same kind of conversation without really asking the questions, but I'm here to ask the questions for you. And so take advantage of those things. There's a lot of content out there that have so many hidden gems in it if you just listen. And so this is your host, Moneybag Rich, and we have Joe here. Joe, if people wanted to tap in with you, learn more about your brand, follow you, where could they do that at?
Yeah, so at Real Joe McCarthy on Instagram, that's where I'm most active, producing the most content and value. So feel free to follow me there, check out my content. If you're interested in the program that I launched, the Bulletproof Branding Accelerator, feel free to click the link in my bio, book a call. I'll personally hop on one-on-one. We'll dive into your goals, specifics on your brand. You feel free to follow me and engage there.
Absolutely. There you have it. And so again, make sure you share with a friend. And it's your host, Moneybag Rich. And as we always say, we look good, we live good, life is good. Talk to us, we talk back, and we are out.